In the first part of Dead Snow, 2 aka Dead Snow, 2 red Vs. Dead movie, we saw that only one man, Martin, survives a zombie attack. After saving his life, he comes to his car. As he sits, a coin falls off his pocket. At the same time, Herzog's reaches there too, who is outside the car. Herzog breaks the glass of the car and catches Martin. Many more zombies reach there. They try to get inside the car. To save his life, he starts the car and runs away. He is driving so fast that all zombies fall down except Herzog's. He is still hanging there. He sees that a truck is coming their way. As it comes near Martin's car, it takes Herzog's away with it. In this incident, his hand is cut off and falls in Marine's car. The truck driver is watching all this scenario. He gets down to analyze the situation. Herzog's does something strange to him. He kills him with help of 3 fingers. After that, Herzog's comes to his soldiers and orders them to go straight to populated areas. On the other hand, Martin is shown who is driving very fast. During this time, he feels drowsy. He begins to feel sleepy. The car gets out of control and crashes. He becomes faint. When he gets conscious, he sees that he is in hospital. After that, some police officers come to investigate him. They start asking him a few questions. Martin answers all the questions, but police don't believe him. Martin's bad luck is that he is accused of murdering everyone else. All the blame falls on Martin. The doctor who operated upon him comes to him and says that, "I have a good news for you. You lost your hand, but luckily we found it in the car and reattached it to your arm." Hearing this, he looks at his hand when he realizes that this isn't his hand, but Herzog's. When he sees this, he tells the doctor that it isn't his hand. Right after saying this, his hand gets out of his control. Only then did he attack the doctors and injures many of them. They control him with great difficulty and injects him with an anesthetic injection, as well as Herzog's and his team entered the population. They enter a house there and kill its residents. His hand is also cut, so his zombie doctor's Nazis operates upon him to stitch his hand with his arm. This is Martin's hand, which fell on the snow there. They found this and stitch it with Herzog's hand. There were so many powers in Herzog that now the hand is taken near his arm and it attaches to it automatically. After it, they go to the graveyard where German soldiers were buried. Herzog tries to make them alive again but fails. Then his doctor tells him that dead bodies in these graves are so old. These are dispersed. If we want to make them alive, we will need freshly dead people. Fresh dead people. Hearing this, Herzog goes to church and kills its priest. As he dies, he touches his face and resurrects, becoming a member of his army. He's also his slave now. This means that Herzog's was a man of powers. There we see Martin on the bed, who is tied tightly with a bed. A policeman is also there with him, who is sleeping. At that time, a boy named Bobby's comes there who is basically an American traveler. When he sees that policeman is sleeping, taking advantage of this, he comes to Martin's room. There he sees Zombie's hand. It looks nice to him. He takes a picture of it and sends it to the zombie squad, which hunts zombies. This squad did belong to the EUS and was given the task with scavenging zombies. Martin somehow encourages this kid, and he's obligated, from which he is freed. When he realizes a policeman outside, he has been unable to flee. After it, Martin's new hand does a strange thing. It throws Bobby's outside the window. Seeing this, Martin goes behind him and sees that he has fainted. He tries to make him conscious. He presses his chest, but he presses so hard that his chest becomes crushed and his bones break. It all happened because of that hand, because he was so powerful. The policeman is everything watching from the window, and his doubt turns into a belief that Martin has killed Bobby. His guess was correct. Martin runs away and the policeman runs after him too. But his hand does another weird thing here. There were a lot of cars parked there. There's also a Mercedes parked there. It takes down the logo of a car and throws it at the policeman. The logo hits the policeman on the head and he is seriously injured. Following that, this hand breaks the car's glass, gears the car, starts it, and flees. Martin is also in a car. Bobby's mobile phone remains with him, on which Zombies squad calls. Martin speaks to the Zombies Center and tells the story of these zombies. In response, he tells Martin that we are coming from Norway's to help you. Until then, you will find out, and what is the purpose of these zombies and what he wants behind this destruction. The leader of that Zombies Center is Daniels. He has 2 assistants named Monica's and Blake's. They both are nurses. After seeing these people, it was clear that it was impossible for Martin to survive. Shortly afterward, they reach there and find out the location of the Martin. They decide to go to him, but before that, they buy some weapons to fight the zombies. So this weapon can be used to kill zombies. Then we see that Martin goes to the World War IE Museum. There is a man there who is a clerk of that place, and he inquires about Herzog. He continues to question him for a long time, but the clerk does not respond. When he refuses to tell with love, Martin uses his hand, so he agrees to tell about Herzogs. First of all, he tells the history of Herzogs. After listening to history, he realizes that Hitler's the leader of zombies. He had given a task to Herzogs. In this task, he had to destroy a village named Telvikst. But before they could reach there, they were killed by Oxford men. With that, Martin makes a guess that they go to fulfill the order received from Hitler's. He has a map that shows that this museum was right inside the village they were ordered about. He is looking at the map when he hears the screams of some people from outside. When he goes out and looks, Zogs is there with his whole team. He also brings some tanks there. They are killing the people and joining them in their team. They grab a man and pull out all his ribs. Herzogs enters the museum and Martin and the clerk runs away with their belongings. They hide in that museum. To save their lives, they stand there like dummies. Herzogs looks at the map, picks it up, and leaves. After it, Martin comes out too. He sees 2 or 3 zombies walking outside. He easily kills zombies one by one using its hand. At the same time, his hand touches the man who is dead, and he comes back to life. Seeing this, Martin gets very scared and kills him again. Here he finds out that he also has many powers. Thinking that he could resurrect the dead, he touches the dead man again, and he is resurrected. At that moment, an axe comes and strikes the head of that man, which kills him. This axe is not hit by anyone but else zombie hunter, Daniels. He takes a picture of him, but Martin doesn't like it because his hopes were high. Martin then shows the power of his hand and resurrects the man again. Seeing this, Emil tells him to form his army. At the same time, it claims that Herzog killed some Russian soldiers. Their bodies are buried in snowy areas. He tells Martin to wake up the dead bodies again, which will form his army. And then we too can take revenge on Herzog. Martin agrees. Then they set out on their mission to resurrect the dead bodies. He leaves the clerks Monica and Blake there to guard Herzog's. They will serve his time so that they have more time for their mission. He was moving his tanks forward and his soldiers were killing people there and including them with them. Monica and Blake have an idea. She says one of us will go to them to bring a zombie and the rest of the zombies will follow us. And the other's job will be to bomb the rest of all zombies. But for that, we need a person who knows this place. This job is risky for us, so we need such a person. He was none other than Glenn's Lurk. He pursues them and attempts to persuade them to follow him. But Herzogs forbids his soldiers to follow him. But somehow he gets them behind him. They bomb them according to their plan. By doing all this, the 3 of them become very happy because their plan becomes successful. Herzogs then takes his revenge and turns his tank towards them and starts attacking. He often turns the gun on them and shoots them and moves forward. He thinks they are dead. On the other hand, we see that Daniel's car gets stuck there. They had to get the car out of there and had to help the tire by putting something under it. They think that whatever they put there will be that zombie. According to their thinking, they put zombie there and their car starts moving forward. After that, they reach the place where Russian bodies were buried. Then his hand shows the power and all Russians come out of their grave. Martin was also afraid of what would happen if Russian dead bodies did not listen to him. Martin is approached by a Russian commander who has risen from his seat. When he sees him, he becomes terrified and begins to tremble because he was not an ordinary man, but a tall and broad man who was the devil at that time. But Martin was satisfied that they were considering him as their leader. Herzog is moving forward with its team. It is morning, and then Martin comes in front of him. There was a whole team of Russian soldiers with him. Herzog gets very shocked because he sees such a large army of Russian soldiers with Martin. He is watching everything. Martin shows him his hand, which is of Herzog. That Russian commander was only looking at Herzog because he desired vengeance. They wanted revenge. The two armies move towards each other to compete. That commander only moves towards Herzog. Meanwhile, many zombies come in his way. He kills everyone. Seeing all this fighting, the policemen reach there. At the same time, he sees that a huge tank from the front is moving towards their car. As soon as he sees it, that tank crushes their car. As soon as the tank gets on their car, they get out of the car, and their life is saved. Everyone goes to a house and hide. Martin orders Daniel to go and control the tanks. After that, a war breaks out between the two soldiers. At the same time, Monica, Blake, and Glenn arrive there. Martin's team was strong enough, that is why they were killing the other team. At the same time, the doctor who was doing his job was redressing the wounded and making them fit for battle, because both soldiers are fighting. That Russian soldier is about to kill Herzog when a zombie attacks him from behind. Herzog's team grabs him, and Herzog and everyone else kills him together. The battle had turned its side, and it looked as if Russians were losing. Then they think we should kill Herzog, because it is Herzog who is the reason why all the zombies are alive. If he dies, so will his army. Thinking this, Martin approaches Herzog to kill him. In this fight, Herzog injures Martin a lot. But Martin was no less. He also had one of Herzog's hands. Daniel, who showed up at the tank, needs to enter it and kills Washed twice. They both ascend at this tank as entering the house. On the other hand, outside the war, all Russians die while all zombies stay alive. Only 3 Russians are left alive: Monica, Glenn, and Blake. Shortly afterwards, Glenn, one of the 3, is killed. Now only Monica and Blake were alive. She was badly trapped in those zombies. Martin and Herzog's fight, on the other hand, was going on at that tank. Daniel kills another zombie and somehow controls the tank. In the fight between Martin and Herzog, Martin falls on the car. Herzog is about to kill him right now, but Daniel immediately sits in a tank, turns to the tank's gun towards Herzog, and shoots him, which blows his head off, and he dies. As soon as Herzog dies, so does his whole army. Monica and Blake were trapped in them, but they are safe now. They feel their victory and celebrate it. Their mission is accomplished, and the zombie hunters depart, as does Martin in his car. He then goes to a grave in the graveyard, which is Hannah's grave. He opens the grave and pulls Hannah out of it. As soon as he puts his hand on her to revive her, she revives, and they start living together again. The Nazi doctor then finds Herzog's head, and his head is still alive. This is the end of the movie.